Hey, this is E-Rock. Welcome back to Late Night Saga Reviews. Today I'm going to go a little bit outside of my jurisdiction to talk about something that's not even a late night show, the Jack Benny program. I've heard it said that Jack Benny was an inspiration for the king of late night, Johnny Carson. Here's a clip which kind of talks about that same thing, and I've showed it before here on the Saga. Let's roll it.
You may not realize this, but every move you make, your delivery, every little inflection that you have, is exactly the way I work, and I don't think it's fair. See, you're staring again.
Now listen to me, Mr. Carson.
Call me Johnny.
I'll call you anything.
I occasionally browse through thrift stores for any interesting finds, and recently I did come across a number of Johnny Carson DVDs and VHSs. So, and this is kind of an interesting thing in and of itself because one thing that most of the late night talk shows have in common is that none of them release things on home media. So these are kind of the exception rather than the rule. And I will be reviewing these in a later review. As I was looking for all this Johnny Carson stuff, these Jack Benny DVDs kept popping up. I found quite a few of these and I was just wondering what the show was all about. I probably assembled this whole collection for less than $20, including this really cool embossed tin. So what is the Jack Benny program, or Jack Benny show? The two titles seem to be used interchangeably. I'm going to go with program because it's a little more unique. So what was the Jack Benny program? Well, it was a radio show that began back in 1932.
But, Jack, now how can we tell what number you're playing?
Well, if you were a musician, you'd know. Say, who are you working for anyway, Fred Allen or me?
Jell-O.
Oh. Well, let me tell you something. I played violin in concert halls long before I knew anything about strawberry, cherry, orange, lemon, and lime.
You left out raspberry.
Yeah.
I bet the audience didn't.
In its 18th year on the air, 1950, it moved to the new medium of television. For the next 5 years, it ran simultaneously on both radio and TV, before the radio version was retired.
You see, this medium is entirely different. I mean, that's the way they explained it to me. You see, in television, you're not supposed to be conscious of a studio audience. You know, you're supposed to look like you're not entertaining anybody.
Boss, I saw your last rehearsal. You've got nothing to worry about.
The television show itself ran for 15 years until 1965, giving the total program a 33-year run, which is incredible by any measure. These sets that I picked up are seemingly random assortments of episodes. There is no theme. It's not like a set of Christmas shows or like best celebrity guests or musical guests or any sort of a theme. It's just probably like whatever episodes they could get when they were putting the DVD together. Since the television version came along so late in the run, they probably assumed everyone in the audience already knew what the show was. So in these episodes, the show doesn't really take much time to explain itself. So it took me a while to kind of wrap my head around what this show was. To put it in more modern terms, it kind of strikes me that the Jack Benny program is similar in format to the sitcom Seinfeld. Jack Benny plays a fictional version of himself, a comedian who begins most shows in front of a curtain, telling jokes to an audience. Seinfeld is a stand-up comedian, and Benny hosts a comedy variety show. He sometimes has a monologue, sometimes comedy sketches or guests with him. Then we go behind the curtain to see what Benny's personal life is like outside the show. The character of Jack Benny is often described as the world's biggest cheapskate. Many episodes follow him doing mundane tasks such as getting a haircut or shopping for a Christmas gift, pinching pennies all along the way.
As long as both of us are in the store here, I'd like to buy you your Christmas gift now, you see? Because I don't want to duplicate anything. You see, what did I give you last year?
A brand new dollar bill.
Oh, yeah.
And a lecture on the evils of wine, woman, and song.
The number 2 character on the show, Rochester, is played by Eddie Anderson, and this may seem to be the most dated aspect of the show to a modern audience. Rochester is Jack's live-in butler and valet.
I have enough trouble trying to get that man to go to sleep. Instead of counting sheep, he makes me count his money and he keeps one eye open.
But seems to follow Jack around everywhere he goes in life, while Jack barks orders at him.
I don't know. What compartment are we in, Rochester?
Car 1224, compartment H.
Right. Did you bring my Christmas list?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, here it is.
Oh, good.
Lunch, everybody.
Lunch,
Break for lunch.
lunch, everybody. Rochester, we're breaking for lunch.
I'd say Rochester must be well compensated, working for a big celebrity like Jack, but the jokes about Jack's cheapness extend to Rochester's salary.
Rochester, did you eat a banana? Rochester, answer me. Did you eat a banana?
Yes, boss, and I might as well tell you I ate an apple, too.
An apple when?
Last July.
Last July. Well, why tell me about it now?
What's the difference? You'll find out about it in January when you take inventory.
Rochester, I don't mind you taking fruit. I just want you to mark it down in a book so I'll know where I stand.
So it often comes across that Jack has this black manservant that he orders around and kind of abuses.
Rochester, why did you stop rocking?
I'm sorry, boss. I got interested in this book. Boy, is it exciting.
I don't care if it is exciting. Rock me some more.
Yes.
But it's also clear that they are the best of friends.
I'll go get a can of beer out of the icebox, and we'll drink to the new year.
Oh, no. Listen, if you're willing to stay here on New Year's Eve and be here with me and miss your party, we're not going to open a can of beer. We're going to open a bottle of champagne.
We're going to which a what?
It does make the show a bit of a time capsule because almost the entire 33-year run happens before the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Back before tapes were kept and repeated, before reruns were a thing, they would often wipe the old show tapes. And so in the later seasons, they would sometimes re-perform old scripts from the earlier seasons. And the show was on for so long, and the world had changed that by some of the later seasons, some of the early scripts were considered too racially offensive to repeat. For what it's worth, Eddie Anderson was one of the highest paid black actors in the business. When the show traveled, Jack Benny refused to put the cast and crew up in hotels that were not integrated. So the show did mark a little bit of progress during its time on the air. And that's all I'll say about that subject.
How about you coming back to work for me as my valet?
Hold it, Blue Eyes. We don't do that anymore.
While Rochester was only part of the storylines involving Jack's personal life, and he wasn't involved in the show within a show, he did still get to do some song and dance numbers.
I give you kisses without number, but only in my dreams.
Oh, baby, mine.
I get so lonely when I dream about you. Can't do without you. That's why I dream about you. If I could only put my arms about you, life would be complete.
The show within a show's announcer is Don Wilson playing himself.
Well, Don, seriously, now, I do want to ask you one question. How long have you been working for Jack?
Well, now, let's see, Johnny. I've been with Jack since 1934.
1934?
Yeah.
Gee whiz. And Jack's been paying you for...
2 years.
Two. Let's go.
Who also occasionally shows up in Jack's personal life.
Jack, you mind if I stretch out here in your hammock?
No, go right ahead, Don. Rochester, incidentally, here's what I'd like to have you do. Rochester, come on, help me. Don.
Jack, I'm terribly sorry if I broke your hammock.
Who cares about the hammock? Look what you did to the flagstone.
Most of the jokes about Don are about his weight.
Next. Say, you're a big boy, aren't you?
To Don, your pear-shaped tones, many announcers ape, but no one can ape your pear-shaped shape. Isn't that clever?
Yeah, clever.
He's also the guy most frequently tapped to read the commercials.
Don't you know what my doing this commercial means to me? Now, after all, I'm not a funny man. I don't tell jokes. I'm not an actor. I don't sing songs. I don't lead a band. What are you paying me for?
This is another dated practice, having the characters on the show read commercials within the show in character, sometimes with entire skits or songs built around them.
And now, before I pronounce you man and wife, I must ask you these questions. Do you promise to always smoke Lucky Strikes?
I do.
And do you know that Luckies are made of that fine, that light, that naturally mild tobacco?
I do.
Now, will you both repeat after me? LSMFT. LSMFT. Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
Lucky Strike means fine tobacco.
LSMFT.
I'm lighting up a lucky, puffing on a lucky, blowing out the match.
Another performer was Dennis Day, playing himself as a song and dance man on Jack's show within a show, and sometimes hanging out with Jack behind the scenes.
Jack and money go together like a bee and honey. This I'll tell you quickly. The thought of spending makes him sickly.
He came on the show in the early days as a naive teenager and kept playing the gullible type into adulthood.
I'm sorry, I'm confused.
Well, that's understandable. You're confused because it's Christmas time, because you have the Christmas spirit, you're buying Christmas presents, and there's so many different things to look at.
Well, that explains why I'm confused in December, but what about the other months?
Jack's rarely seen love interest was Mary Livingston, who was also married to Jack in real life.
Hello, Jack. This is Mary.
Oh, Mary, I was just thinking of calling you. What's on your mind?
Well, I've been sitting here thinking, and there is something I'd like to talk to you about.
You called me, you rushed over in a cab. Now, what is it you want to say to me?
Jack, something has got to be done about your being so cheap.
But on the show, they're not married. She plays Jack's secretary, whom he frequently makes passes at only to be turned down.
Hello, kiddo. Where have you been all my life?
Avoiding it.
Another interesting thing is that she was originally known as actress Sadie Marks, but after becoming known as the character Mary Livingston on the Jack Benny program, she legally changed her own name to match the character, further blurring the lines between the characters and the actors.
Most of you know that Mary is really my wife and Joni my daughter. I'd like to have them both take a bow. Joni, would you like to do another TV show with me?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to talk to my agent.
Your agent? Joni, I'm your father.
I know, but Mother told me to get an agent.
Jack's show within a show also features a lot of celebrities appearing as themselves. This kind of reminds me of the Larry Sanders Show.
Hey, Kurt!
When you came to my house to play bridge last week, you didn't tell me that you played banjo.
Well, nobody asked me, man. Nobody asked me.
Now, what did you do with that gun?
Now, wait a minute before you start any rough stuff. I'm entitled to one phone call, ain't I?
Well, yes.
Okay, give me a dime and I'll run down to the drugstore.
Oh, no, you don't.
Larry, we're off the air. This is real life now. Can I be honest with you?
Yeah.
I'm here for 3 good reasons. Last show, big ratings, movie coming out. Bim, bam, boom. Whew. Otherwise, I'd be sitting home watching Nightline, as usual.
And a lot of the plots of the show revolve around Jack trying to book his guests.
Hey, Jack! Come on, get me down out of here!
I'm not gonna let you down and you come down on your price.
Oh, no, you don't. I won't budge. I'm gonna stick to my price.
You better do what he says, Bing. I've been up here for 4 months.
I have to say that out of all the people on the show, by far my favorite is Mel Blanc.
It says here that you do imitations. Is that right?
Oh, yeah, that's right. I do animals, all kinds of things.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's hear a dog, for instance.
Let's hear a dog. There's 18,000 kind of dogs, and he says, let's hear a dog. Be specific. What kind of dog do you want? There's Chows, Chihuahuas, Dachshunds, Doberman Pinschers, Cocker Spaniels.
Well, all right, let's hear you do a Cocker Spaniel.
I can't do that one.
He's part of Jack's repertory, but he seems to play a different character every time he's on screen, usually a put-upon worker of some sort.
I just can't understand why you have to make all that racket with the hammer.
Because the hammer is made out of metal and the pipe is made out of metal.
Well, can't you do something to muffle the sound?
Yeah, if you'll be kind enough to help me.
Okay.
What is it you want me to do? Put your head between the pipe and the hammer.
Well, they filmed everything that he did on my show, and he did all the characters. He did, first place you did the train announcer, didn't you?
Oh,
how did you do that?
Train leaving on track 5 for Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga.
Attention, please. Attention. The train for Anaheim, Azusa, and Cucamonga will be delayed indefinitely. Definitely is 2 miles this side of Cucamonga.
When I used to listen to your show, I'm going to ask him this, and you would go out in the Maxwell and start the car. Yes. I'd say those are the wildest sound effects I've ever heard in my life, because most mechanical things are done by a recorded thing. And Mel used to do it when I'd go see the radio show. Mel would stand up on the stage.
Yeah, I used to say...
And the audience would go into hysterics.
I used to say, Rochester, get the Maxwell started, because I want to leave. And Mel would be the Maxwell. Gee, you ought to have a mic right near you.
We can drop this down.
Can you drop this
Just
down?
put it in the picture, don't worry about it.
So I said, Rochester, get the Maxwell started. And he would go out, and you'd hear the Maxwell, and this would be it. Go ahead.
I know Blanc from Looney Tunes, which I watched a ton of growing up. He was the voice of Bugs Bunny, Daffy Duck, and all the rest.
What's up, guys? I knew I should have taken that left turn at Albuquerque.
Not to mention Barney Rubble.
Is this any way to treat your bosom buddy, close pal, and lifelong friend?
Tweaky.
Where do I put this, babe?
Now that I'm seeing him in the flesh, he seems to be the living embodiment of all those characters.
When one delivers a telegram, it's customary for one to get a tip. Oh, of course. I'm sorry. The amount you may choose to give me is entirely up to you. Yes, I know, of course. In a matter like this, why, I wouldn't want to influence you in any way. No! Can't afford to buy medicine for the baby either. Mark, if we spend that money for medicine, we won't be able to buy any food.
He's the only one on the show to really make me laugh out loud, such as in the Christmas episode where he plays a department store clerk trying to wrap a present for Jack.
Now, wrap it up as a gift and send it to Mr. Don Wilson, 4946 Whitsett, Beverly Hills.
Jack keeps changing his mind and having him rewrap the gift.
I'd like to change the card, please.
But mister, I already got it wrapped with ribbon and tinsel and little bells and holly.
Yeah, I know, but I'm sorry, but look, I'm sorry, but you'll have to unwrap it, because I want to change the card.
But mister, look...
Look, please, I'm a customer. Now, unwrap it.
Oh, all right. But it's so pretty, it's a dirty shame.
Oh, clerk.
Yes, sir, what can I do? You again.
Yes, look at, I want to change that card again.
Oh, no. First you buy the gift, then you write the card, then I wrap the gift, then you change the card, then I unwrap the gift, then you rewrite the card, then I wrap the gift again, and now you want to write another card.
That card I made out to Don Wilson, I can't find it. I wonder where it is. Oh, clerk.
Now what?
Look, I made out a card here for Mr. Wilson, and I can't find it.
Don't worry about it. I found the card, I put it in the package, I wrapped it as a gift, and I sent it down to the delivery room.
But I forgot to sign it. Oh, clerk.
Don't tell me you're going to change the card again?
No, that's not important. I want to change the wallet.
What?
Instead of the $40 wallet, I want the one for $1.98.
shaft.
So did I like the Jack Benny program? Mostly. A lot of the jokes about cheapness, about bad luck, dating, or annoyance with people in general still worked. The pop culture references from the 1950s were often lost on me.
To Margaret, from Jack. Margaret, what's your last name?
Truman?
The societal changes were sometimes evident, sometimes not.
I'll be off at 3 o'clock.
3 o'clock. Well, isn't that just dandy? I'll give your phone number to my milkman.
Some of the words are so light I can hardly read them.
Boss, I've been asking for 2 years to buy a new ribbon.
Operator.
Yes, Mr. Benny.
Oh, Gertrude, I had a very important message to call Liberace. Will you please see if you can get us home?
Yes, sir.
The song and dance numbers were generally not my type of music, but good music is good music, and I can respect the talent.
Smile, though your heart is aching. Smile, even though it's breaking. When there are clouds in the sky, you'll get by.
One thing I found interesting was there's the running gag about Jack and his violin, the joke being that he's a terrible player. It seems obvious watching him that he's actually a very good player, but he doesn't let it show. He'll start a song well enough, but then he'll start to screw it up along the way. It seems like he'd rather make you laugh than show how good he is. That's the mark of a true comedian.
When I give a concert, I must play as well as I can. It isn't funny if I give a concert and I try to play badly. Now, that's about as unfunny as anybody can be, is to take the violin and try to play badly. The only reason my concerts are funny is because I play heavy numbers, classical numbers, and I try to play them as well as I can. And I just can't quite make it. And that's what's funny.
If there was such a thing as a miracle, and God came to me, if he said, Jack, starting tomorrow, I will make you one of the world's great violinists, but no more will you ever be able to tell a joke, I really believe that I would accept it. That's a tough thing to say, isn't it? When you've been getting laughs all your life. That's how much
you would really like to play
that's how much I actually love the violin.
Only after buying all these DVDs did I discover that there's a YouTube channel called The Jack Benny Program Complete, which has every single episode. The TV show is either in the public domain, or it simply only exists as low-quality kinescope recordings, and maybe nobody really feels it's worthy of preservation, other than these fly-by-night DVD companies or a YouTube channel.
Hey, you know, this ain't a bad layout you got here. Hey, if you ever decide to sell this house, let me know, huh?
What do you mean, let you know? You couldn't afford to buy this house.
You didn't get my bill yet.
If you're even mildly curious about this, I would suggest checking out the Christmas shopping episode with Mel Blanc. I think it's like the best one that I've seen, and it probably doesn't get any better than that, so if you don't like that, then this may not be your cup of tea. That's all I got for this time, and next time we will check out those Johnny Carson DVDs.
The taste is great in the filter tip Terryton. All the pleasure comes through in the filter tip Terryton. Smokes milder, smokes smoother, draws easier. Yes, the taste is great in the filter tip Terryton.